How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting, and welcome to just terribleness. It's Higurashi, of course, and we're here in Hinamizawa, where I've been thinking since the last time we recorded, and I'm kind of getting more and more on the side that maybe the curse is right. Maybe everyone in this valley just sucks. We know that's not true, but man, it just feels like it, or at least it's either that or the most unhinged, insane, and just worst kind of people are all shoved into one little friend group, and they're like direct associates. Because man, this stuff gets just so gnarly. So we learned about the Badger game, they called it, about the girlfriend who's basically kind of trying to siphon away as much money and value as she can before like leaving Rena's father destitute and alone once again, taking advantage of his loneliness. And yeah, now Rena's decided she's the bad person and is going to do something about it, which is interesting. Curious to see how that's going to play out, what her plans are going to be, and what it's going to entail. Is this going to be a story where she's the one who's going to be like the instigator of the Watanagashi and is going to be choosing her? So is it going to be a completely different story in that regard? Or is this something that's going, like some of these other subplots that's kind of always been going on in the background, like the Shion-Mion switching, but, you know, like throughout all the different timelines, like it always was occurring, it's just never got highlighted, or she was just really good and never got caught. You know, either way it could be the case. I'm curious to see which one it'll be. So let's see what else we can learn from this. But yeah, if you can't tell, it's freaking hot and humid, but I'll live with it. Anyway, let's keep going. Interesting. So we know we're in Rena's point of view because the text is pink, but it's funny seeing the text being pink when other characters are speaking. I don't feel like it did that before, but maybe I'm just misremembering. Oh, yeah.
監視役なの？まあね、シオンのやつ、私と比べると突拍子もないことをするからさ。
Oh, you don't say.
監視役が必要なわけよ。
ミオンもシオンも、その意味においちゃ互角だと思うぞ。
Oh, you don't say. Keiichi-kun cut into the conversation. They ended up making a lot of noise, teasing each other like they always do. Mion made it sound like that man Kasai-san is some sort of territory boss in Okonomiya. It wouldn't be easy for me to meet him in person. But because he's Shi-chan's watchdog, I might be able to find a way. The problem, though, is that I don't have any connection to Shi-chan either. We hang around every once in a while whenever she comes to Hinamizawa, but I've never called her or visited her. I have no idea how we can meet. Even if I could meet Kasai-san, there's no guarantee he'd help me out. He seemed like the kind of person who doesn't like to gossip about others. He told me the Rena-san at the coffee house only because Shi-chan pushed him to. Plus, the situation could grow worse very quickly while I wait for the chance to meet him, so any help he might offer could come too late. I remember Kasai-san told me that, as her next step, Rina-san usually uses her partner to threaten their catch. That would signify the end of her performance. They were going to take all my father's money. I wasn't feeling a sense of crisis yet, but the time might be coming very soon. Even as I was at school taking a class peacefully, that man might already be at the house right at this moment, threatening my father to hand over his bank books. Once I became anxious, I get more and more anxious. I could feel a big pressure on my chest as if the ceiling had collapsed on me.
いやー、平和すぎて退屈だぜ。
Come on, man. Could you... I mean, I'm sure it's right, and that's a lovely place to be in your life, but it feels like taunting. Keiichi-kun talks to me, yawning.
そうかな。レナは平和で退屈なの大好きだよ。
Yeah, I think anybody who doesn't have a peaceful life would give almost anything to have one, but then when people have it, especially for a long time, they get complacent.
俺はごめんだね。せめて火星人が襲来するくらいのことが、毎週とは言わないまでにも、月末くらいには欲しいところだぜ。
No, don't jinx yourself, man. Don't jinx us. Like, we could joke about it, but reality, that'd be terrifying.
あ、定期テストはなしでだぜ。
もし本当に火星人が攻めてきて、世界中が滅ぼされて、Hinamizawaも焼け野原になったら、圭一くんは退屈が紛れて満足かな？
It's oddly specific, Rena.
かな。
いや、そこまでは言ってねえよ。何かアクシデントの一つもないと、退屈で溶けちまいそうだぜって言いたかっただけだぜ。
I think she's trying to point out, bro, that with excitement comes pain. He had no idea what I've been going through, of course, and that's why he says that. But I still was irritated by his insensitivity. I couldn't understand why he wouldn't be satisfied with such a peaceful life. He never had to doubt that today and tomorrow will be as fun as yesterday. It was all too aware that boring and peaceful days could be destroyed all of a sudden. I knew that boring and peaceful days could come to an end all of a sudden because your mom wants to divorce your dad. I knew you could feel like you don't belong anywhere in your own house because your dad had gotten a new girlfriend. Even so, you had to repeat the same kind of day over and over again. That's why I want to live every day happily, in order to be prepared for when the world comes to its end.
レナは日々が幸せそうでいいよな。
God, that cuts so deep. Holy crap. There's so much truth to that too. Like, not everyone who's depressed wears it like all over the place. In fact, most people who are depressed or actually are struggling, like, they're good at masking it. They get really talented at it. Maybe they'll be able to open it up, or maybe you'll get to know somebody well enough to recognize it even when they're trying to hide it. But 90% of the time, the people who look really happy probably are suffering. I'd say most people are suffering, really, in their own way. But the scale of that can be very, subjective. So I can look at somebody who's like a trust fund child, right? Who, got to go through all the best education, got to go on tons of trips and see the world and do all the things that I'm struggling and scraping to try and be able to do before I die. And they get to do all that before they're 20. They go to a good college, get some good networking going, try and start their own business, and it fails. Yeah, that's got to be hard. That's going to be devastating. That's going to be emotionally exhausting, and you got to lose a lot of money, and you start to doubt yourself and everything. Yeah, I'm sure that's hard. But you have family that can catch you, pick you back up. You're able to get access to so much money and have so many great memories and opportunities thrown at your feet. And even when you mess up, you probably just get to get right back up and try again. That's what's so funny about seeing like a lot of these self-made millionaire gurus on like YouTube or the TV or something. Like, they always talk about like, oh yeah, like anybody could do this. I came from nothing. It's like, no, you didn't. I don't think I doubt there's any of those people who actually came from nothing. They come from a background where they had inherited something, where they had a nest egg of some kind, where the far thoughts and good planning of other people and the tutoring that they received and instruction they received from family and friends was essentially enough to get them over to the edge and make them continue to be successful. People can succeed when they start with nothing, but it's not going to be something you do when you're 20. No, like, that's just not how that works. And I don't know why I'm getting so specific about that. I just think it's more of this idea that the world constantly is like all the algorithms and everything are constantly trying to bombard us with this idea that anybody can be successful, that tons of people are successful, that all your friends and family are always so happy, and look at all the fun trips they're on, and look at all the cool things they have, and look at all the great moments and the good pictures and balanced families and wonderful children or great nieces and nephews or wonderful pets and great big gardens and massive houses and boats and jet skis and snowmobiles. They just see all this stuff, right? But they're suffering too. They really are. And we only ever get fed the best things. The few exceptions, I think, are the people who are out there trying to make something real. The people who are genuine. The people who are just sharing real moments. And yet they don't tend to be successful. Because if they're really willing to just share who they are and what they're doing, they're going to come across as boring or too down to earth or too oddly relatable. I don't know. Someone was saying, it was a quote from the Trash Taste podcast, I think. Oh, no, it wasn't Trash Taste. It was Joey from Trash Taste, the anime man. But he was going over an article where someone was talking about like the genre in anime and manga. And he talked about how there was a recent quote from a fairly serialized manga artist who said, that the world used to want poisonous fiction. Something that was dark and gritty and like pushed the limits and like really spoke to like the darkness in people's hearts, the frailties of mankind, a dismal like bleak view of the future. But that now it's turned, and now people are wanting an antidote, something to cure the poison of their real lives. And so he's saying that they're seeing a big swing, in Japan at least, back into these very strong fantasy type stories where the classical like adventures and questing and heroes and magic and, you know, stepping away from the attacks on Titan and, you know, in the visual novel world, the Muv-Loves, the Fata Morganas, the Higurashi, and more towards the sweet, the loving, inspirational stories. Because we're facing a lot of uncertainty, fear, and confusion and stress in the daily, like the machinations of those that be in power, and the world that just seems to be going upside down and backwards on everything. I think a lot of people are craving some of that lovely stability. And it's interesting. It's fun to follow that kind of stuff and to really just look at what the world turns to and where entertainment tends to go. Man, that was an odd direction that ended up going, but here we are.
そういうのもスキルなのかな。
そんなの羨ましがられても困るな。
It's funny, I'm pretty sure I do remember this conversation. I think I remember them having it in like the first chapter.
日々を退屈でなく幸せに過ごすのって何かコツでもあるのか？あるなら教えてくれよ。俺も得得してみたいぜ。
そんなの簡単だよ。
Just fake it.
気づくだけだもん。
気づくって？
Realize. There's no way he could realize it. And it was probably better that he didn't, because it meant that he was truly happy.
気づくだけだよ。幸せな日々が有限であることに。
Yeah, I've definitely heard this conversation before. I do remember this. And now I get the context. The real context. Dang. The music in this was really good. Like that little piano sonata was beautiful. It's still going. Bye, Shion/Mion. The three of us walked home from school like we always did. Mi-chan said goodbye to us at the corner of the street where she stood, and she took her separate way home. She walked away waving, but I chased after her. Oh, this actually probably is Mion, actually, because the switch, the real powerful switch, didn't happen until the Watanagashi festival.
Mi-chan! Huh? Nani?
Mi-chan apparently thought she dropped something, and she turned around to see what she dropped.
忘れるところだった。実はね、昨日喫茶店でしーちゃんと笠井さんに会ったの。その時にね、笠井さんの落とし物を拾ったの。
Ah, good lie. Of course he hadn't dropped anything, I was lying. If I could meet him, I'd just show him whatever, and tell him I thought it was his, and apologize for my mistake.
へえ、あ、そう。それありがとう。届けとくよ。
Ah.
それでね、レナが直接返したいの。
She's like, Mi-chan looked surprised. I couldn't blame her. I met him only once. It's weird to want to give something back in person to somebody you barely know.
まあ、そりゃ構わないけど、なんでまた。
Now what are you gonna say?
サングラスにおひげがね。
I mean, that's an angle, I suppose.
ちょっぴり可愛かったの。はう。
Could I fudge my true intentions with my cute mode? I tried it anyway. Mi-chan usually takes words at their face value, and indeed she seemed to buy it.
口ひげを引っこ抜いてお持ち帰りしちゃダメだよ。
で、どうかな？会えるかな？
It does kind of sound like she has a crush on him now, which is weird.
忙しいのか暇なのか、全然見当つかない人だからね。今度、Hinamizawaに来る用事がないか聞いておくよ。
I needed to know as soon as possible. Of course, I wasn't going to say what I wanted to meet him today, but at least tomorrow or the day after tomorrow.
なんだよ。お前ら何やってんだ？
レナがね、新しい恋に目覚めちゃったんだってさ。
Uh-huh.
違うよ、違うよ。
なんだそりゃ。面白そうな話だな。
Not even like jealous at all, man.
俺も混ぜろ混ぜろ。
I didn't want to want her to leave it up in the air, so I told her I think I should give it back to him as soon as possible. I'm sure he's looking for it too. Nichan said okay twice and walked away waving. I hadn't yet thought about how I was going to ask him for help when I would meet. He seemed to be in a higher position than Rina-san and her partner. If he agreed to help me, it would be very encouraging. But there was a possibility that he'd tell me he didn't want to interfere in other people's private matters. He could just say the whole thing was another love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover.
じゃあな、レナ。また明日な。
また明日ね。
I said goodbye to Keiichi-kun and walked home alone. After Keiichi-kun was gone, everything went quiet. My head became clear. What I needed at that moment was quiet time to think about what I should do from then on. I shouldn't depend on Kasai-san to solve my problem. He'll most likely decline my request, so I'll have to think about some alternatives. It's probably better I just do that. A love triangle between a father, his daughter, and his lover. Those words bothered me, because I've seen an unhappy triangle like that before. The sort of thing had happened to Satoshi-kun. Oh, yeah. Satoshi-kun experienced it last year. He fought for his sister in a triangle with his aunt. It was the same situation as mine. I'm trying to fight to protect my father. Satoshi-kun fought alone. Nobody helped him. All I did for him was give him my sympathy and compassion. I didn't think I could do anything more than that. I felt sorry for him, but I didn't really help him out. Irresponsibly, I tried to cheer him up, and I probably told him something I thought would make him feel better, but actually hurt him instead. I recently realized how much I hurt him with my insensitivity because Keiichi-kun had just hurt me the same way. I'm going down the same path Satoshi-kun went last year. Oh, that's ominous right there. I feel like I'm experiencing deja vu. An unusual repetition. That would mean that I'd be the one who gets demoned away this year. I should be okay. I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa. Was I? I wasn't thinking about running away from Hinamizawa, but I thought about running away from my home many times. That's why I made the place I could escape to in the garbage dump. The dump happened to be in Hinamizawa, but what if it wasn't? Running there would be the same thing as running away from Hinamizawa. I shouldn't think like that. Oh, Yoshiro-sama would get mad at me. Oh, Yoshiro-sama is really scary. Oh, what was that? I saw flickering lights in my head. Oh no, every time I tried to think about that time, my mind would stop working properly. I remembered the vivid colors of my psychoactive drugs. Psychoactive drugs? Is that supposed to be like what she was get put on after her episode? Because I thought that psychoactive drugs were like activating, like ones like going on mushrooms. Something that stimulates you and pushes you to see and hear things that maybe aren't, or like to emphasize that. This is describing, like, I thought they were called psychosuppressive drugs. The flickering lights and clouds started spreading in my head. They were so bright and annoying. Don't try too hard to remember. Don't try too hard to remember. No. I couldn't stop the flickering lights in my head. I couldn't have that feeling. I had to fill my heart with another feeling. Yeah, there was no time for these crazy flickering lights in my head. I had to think about what I should do when Kasai-san declined my request for help. I had to protect my father from Rina-san and that bad man. I like how she's assuming he's going to decline. Like, I understand that it's probably a very real outcome and she should plan for it, but it's almost like she's already like decided that it's not going to happen. And the flickering lights. So they're going to be tied to probably that mental break she has where she attacked like her friends back in her old school. And I'm really curious. I'm guessing we're going to be able to see the details of that event because they've been really vague about it up until now. Wait, why was I starting to call her that? Rina-san? Rina's Rina. Rina. She's a bad person who deceived my father and tried to bring us unhappiness. Bad people bring bad things into the world without even doing anything. They're different from the other 90% of people who aren't bad. If you let them loose, they'll even ruin people around them. When you have one bad tangerine in a box, it spreads its fungus to the other tangerines around it. That's what bad people are like. I couldn't remember how Satoshi-kun resolved his triangle last year, but I could still see the flickering lights in my head. They're still flickering, they're still flickering, they're still flickering, they're still flickering. She is not well. Holy crap. I didn't realize it was this bad. They're still flickering. Just as the swirl of flickering lights were making me dizzy, I saw my house. I also saw Rina-san's scooter parked by the side of the gate. The moment I saw the bike, the flickering lights disappeared and I regained control of myself. Rina-san spent the night last night. She told me she had to work today in the evening, so she should be leaving soon. But I didn't want to be around her, even for a little while, until she left. I said, "I'm home," really loud and rushed into the house, pretending my friends were waiting outside, and rushed out of the house. But Rina-san stopped me.
あら、おかえり、レイナちゃん。
You.
あ、こんにちは。
This was the first time I thought Rina-san's smile was ugly. I only stood to reason. I had realized the scheme she was hiding behind that smile.
今日ね、お父さんと一緒にお昼は5グラまで行ってきたのよ。
Okay.
キーマカレーがとっても美味しいお店でね。
My father poked his head out of the living room and said, "I want to go there again next time we go. I really liked that curry." I wonder if he meant what he meant with me the next time or with me and her. Anyway, I hate it when Rina-san says your father.
それで、レトルトをお土産に買ってきたの。後でぜひ食べてみてね。美味しいから。レイナちゃんはこのお店知ってる？
I didn't know the restaurant she was talking about. I saw it in a magazine. It's a new restaurant that opened recently. I also remember that it was an expensive restaurant. The amount of money they spent on the take-home curry alone must have been enough to cover the cost of all the dinners for several nights. Yeah, that's not frickin' true. I don't know what is. Even cheaper places nowadays are getting ridiculous. I mean, isn't it like if you go to get like a standard meal at McDonald's, like a regular, like a Big Mac with a large fry and like a large fry and large drink, isn't that like going upwards of like $15 to $17 by itself nowadays? Like, I don't even know. I stopped going to McDonald's ages ago. Just there's no point. You can make better food at home, and you can buy better food for about the same price. Why would you bother? Like, I cannot, even if I need fast food, there's so many better choices to McDonald's, and it's not any cheaper. It used to be that was the kind of the polls, like it was where you could go. If you go like, hey, I got like $2, I could get myself like a double cheeseburger, or, you know, like a fry and a small drink, like. You know, like you could just go grab something really quick. That was what made it work. It was like really good for how cheap it was. Now it's not even that. Since I was aware it was in the bank books, it was hard for me to stay calm.
それは楽しみです。ありがとうございますね、リナさん。
それでね、レイナちゃん。ちょっとみんなでお話があるんだけど。
Oh no.
ごめんなさい。ちょっと友達を待たせてるんで出かけますね。またゴミ捨て場で宝探しなの。
レイナちゃんは宝探しが好きね。私も今度行ってみようかしら。
No.
ではすみません。失礼します。
Every time Rina-san moved her arms or head, the scent of her perfume stuck in my nostrils. I hate the smell of her perfume, so I couldn't stay there a second longer. I rushed out of the house and started running to get away from her perfume. The rubber band inside me, the one called Rena, was stretched all the way to its limit. I'm pretty sure I'd explode and go crazy if the rubber band broke. Right. Yeah. I didn't want to feel like that inside my own house. My house was supposed to be the place where I could open my heart freely. I ran away. I ran away from there. I ran further and further away from there because it was no longer a place I belonged. It's not that I had a destination in mind. I was just running away. I was running to escape a place where I did belong. Running to escape to a place where I did belong. Didn't I decide to fight against that woman? Didn't I decide to fight against her either by myself or with my father? But then, once I saw her fake smile, a chill ran up my back. It was like I picked up a stone, found a carpet of bugs underneath it, and put it back on the ground in a hurry. I rushed out of the house as fast as I could. Did I want to fight, or did I want to run away? Was I just choosing to spend a peaceful time in my hideout, believing that tomorrow would be the same as today? I couldn't do that. I didn't know when they'd spring their trap. I couldn't afford to waste any time. I knew that deep down. I knew that, but I just wanted to run away. I couldn't stop myself from running away. Oh, I clicked too early. And so I did run away. At times like this, the mattress in my hideout would feel so soft. That I knew. God, that mattress head cannot be clean. The cries of the Higurashi were soothing to the ears. They sounded as soft as my mattress. They were like music. They didn't force any feelings upon me. They cried as if to tell me that to just be who I am. It was always so quiet here that I immediately noticed the purr of an engine coming closer. People used to come here to make a lot of noise during the dam conflict, but now nobody really comes here. This place is forgotten. So it was rare to see somebody come through here at all. I sat on the roof of an abandoned car and waited for the intruder to go away without looking their way. Is it going to be Toмотaka-kun? But the purr of the engine stopped. I'm not stupid. If it stopped, I knew exactly who it had to be. I heard the person calling me, but I ignored it once. The person came closer, making it harder for me to ignore her. As she called my name again, I turned around this time. No! Why are you here?
レイナちゃん、結構耳遠い方？
すみません。多分逆風だったんで、聞こえにくかったんだと思います。
She seemed to buy my poor excuse. She smiled and said, yeah, it happens sometimes.
一人？お友達は？
一人で遊んでますよ。
その年でなかなか渋いわね。
I don't like this. I mean, I don't like any of this, and I don't like her especially, but like I also feel like she's like seeing an opportunity here. Rina-san stretched and looked across a huge garbage dump.
しかし、よくもこれだけ盛大にスクラップばっか捨てたもんよね。知ってる？昔、平坂の2丁目にもタイヤの外れた車ばっかり積んであるところがあってね。
Really? I wasn't interested in Rina-san's old story, but I pretended to listen and nodded. She doesn't like she doesn't take this road to go back to Okonomiya. I guess she knew I'd be here and came by to see me. What did she want? It was obvious that she was just trying to make conversation. She probably took it personally when I avoided her earlier, which is why she was here to butter me up. It would be better for her not to have any conflicts with the daughter of the man she's seeing, no matter what the intention of seeing him is. In that sense, it was a reasonable action for her to take. While I listened to her old story, all I could think about was that she was going to leave. Didn't I have to fight against her? Didn't I decide to fight against her? Didn't I find out her plot at the coffee house in Okonomiya? Didn't I find out this woman is squeezing money out of my father when I look inside his cash box? I know who you are. Please leave my father alone. How easy it would be if these two sentences could solve the problem. She'd probably deny it. Even if I told her about what I heard at the coffee house, I have no evidence of her plot. Even if she said that she did it because the vulgar man was threatening her, there would be nothing I could do. But I know this woman is a bad person. I know something horrible will happen in the near future if I waste time like this. Oh gosh, is she like contemplating doing like an actual like physical attack? A strange tense feeling started coming over me, but I didn't know how to let it out. As the feeling started running high, I became unable to stand the smell of her perfume. I wanted to put a certain distance between me and her, so I climbed down the slope of the scrap heap. I kept going down and down, the slopes of the garbage dump. When I turned around, I saw her coming down as well, muttering. Was she following me? In order to run away from her, I started running down the slope all the way to the bottom, went around behind some trash piles, and arrived at the front of my hideout. My escape was meaningless. Not only was she going to catch up with me eventually, all I did was let her know the way of my hideout that nobody's supposed to know about. I wanted to make sure she never saw my precious hideout. I was about to leave, but then she appeared.
へえ、ちょっと素敵よね。秘密基地みたい。
Oh my gosh. This is like so bad. Like it's isolated. It's not the worst thing in the world. Knowing the context we know, this is horrifying and really, really you need to stop. Why are you doing this?
私だけの秘密の隠れ家なんですよ。ここには誰も来ないし、誰にも何も聞こえません。
Oh no. I felt strange hearing myself say that.
レイナちゃんだけの秘密の隠れ家嬉しいわね。そんな場所に連れてきてもらえるなんて。
Lady, like, you don't know. I'm pretty sure you're in literal danger now. She must have thought I told my secret because I was worth sharing it with. She looked happy. She found the station wagon, looked inside through the window, and went to ooh and ah excitedly. This is a secret place. Nobody else knows. I felt like my consciousness was separating from my body, like I was floating. She's... Rena, okay, here's the thing. Rena, it sounds crazy to be saying this, but like you're either doing this or you're not. You gotta make it count. If you're gonna do it, you gotta make it count. You can't go halfsies here. You can't. You either are doing this now, or you've got to plan it. And that's crazy coming from me, because that's an insane thing to do. But it didn't feel good. Like when I drank amazaka, it was more like being car sick. I feel like I was going to throw up. My brain was promptly searching for secreting some chemical in order to avoid facing the reality that I'd have to stay with this woman, that I couldn't want to run away from her. But even if my brain tried to avoid recognizing it, the reality in front of me wouldn't change.
そうそう。ねえ、レイナちゃん。
なんでしょう。
どうしたの？気分悪いの？
いえ、平気です。
I inhaled fresh air and pulled my consciousness back to reality. I didn't feel like throwing up anymore, but I still felt off balance. I leaned into the scrap of garbage to keep my balance.
私はレイナちゃんのこと好き。レイナちゃんは私のこと好き？
何ですか、突然。
I said that because I didn't want to say that I liked her.
私ね、ずっとあなたのお父さんとお付き合いをしているんだけど、いろいろと話し合ってね。
Oh no. I needed to stop feeling like this. Get up, Rena. I had heard something like this before. Part of me was trying to understand what this woman was trying to say, but another part of me was trying not to. Yeah, because you know, you've heard this exact line before from the other side, really. Oh my gosh. I felt as if her words were bouncing around my head and I started having a headache.
それでね、これからのことを真剣に話し合ったのよ。これからの生活や、いろいろよ。
Oh my gosh. What?
レイナも秋人おじさんのこと好きでしょ？それでね、お母さん。
What's going on? Mother? What are you thinking about, Rena Ryugu? This is an important moment. You're about to have a one-on-one battle with Rina-san. No, Mom. What about my dad? What about me? I don't want you to divorce him. I don't want you to get remarried to anyone else. No, please don't divorce him. I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you get remarried.
再婚なんて許さないです。
Oh, fetch.
お父さんとどういう付き合い方をしたって構いませんが、再婚なんて許さないです。
Dang. To just say that? The problem is, it's like hatchet time. Like, if she happened to have a weapon close at hand, I think you're done. Like, she's teetering on that edge by a hair's breadth. Like, if someone sneezes in the next county, she might go for it, like, with her bare hands. She must have not thought I'd say that straight out like that. She looked stunned. After a while, she broke the silence with her laughter.
拒絶もあるかなとは思ってたけど、ここまではっきり言われるとは。
拒絶もあるかなと思っていました。私が拒絶していたのに気づいていたのは意外でした。
Oh.
そんなのわかるでしょ。
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, it's gonna get real.
あんた、私と目を合わせるとすぐ逃げるもん。それで分かってないなんて思ってた？子供は嫌ね。
Oh no. She's like, well, you're gonna be blunt, I will be too. She frowned, revealing her ugly self. It should have been the first time I saw her face like that, but I wasn't surprised at all. Her face had a look like that from me to the very beginning.
できれば上辺だけでもあんたとは仲良くしてたかったんだけど、ここまで嫌われちゃ難しいわね。私のどこが気に入んないの？工学のために教えてよ。
最初っから
Just everything.
全部。匂いも嫌い。
Oh, fetch. One vicious word came out from my mouth after another. I didn't have wings, but I felt as if I was flying up to the sky. I felt weird and uncomfortable, but also exhilarated. I felt as if I was letting another me use my body. I was in the middle of a disastrous battlefield, but it felt like I wasn't even my business.
そりゃあ好都合ね。私もあんたのこと嫌いだったから、お互い様よね。なめんなクソガキ。ガタガタ言わされてえか。
Try her.
二度と家へ来ないでください。再婚なんて、私が絶対に許さない。
別に、あんたに許してもらわなくてもいいんだけど。
If this were just isolation, them having a conversation about not liking each other, I would never say this, but given the context we have, is Watanagashi like tomorrow? Like we're back in like chapter 3 again. It's just like, oh, give me the bat.
まあ、あんたがうまく立ち回って、お父さんに再婚を断念させたきゃさせてごらんって。そんなの今さら意味ないし。
She didn't look intimidating to me at all. That made me feel a little intimidated in return. Why was she so confident about her absolute control over my father? She had to have more than confidence to be able to act as fearless as this. She must have something tangible. Before I asked her what it was, she told me herself.
私ね、プロポーズされたの。
Are you serious?
嘘だ。
嘘じゃないわよ。本当よ。
It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a big lie. She has to divorce because she got pregnant. She has to get married because she got pregnant. That's a lie, that's a big lie.
向こうからのお願いだから聞かないわけにもいかないしね。指輪ももらっちゃったし。
God, but I'm sure she's lying.
それに、結婚を前提のお付き合いだったわけだしね。指輪まで送っておいて、今さらちゃぶ台返しなんてことになると、最近は問題が多いわよね。
それが最初から目的のくせに、私は聞いてるんだ。
Oh, that kid, no, you're sharing too much.
お前と鉄という男が二人で喫茶店で話しているところを聞いてるんだ。お父さんのお金を目当てに近づいたのを知っている。Hinamizawaの旦那と呼んで詐欺にかけようとしていることを知ってる。葛西さんに聞いたから全部知ってるんだ。詐欺師だってことも全部知ってるんだ。
あら、全部知ってるんだ。
Oh, that's the worst reaction you could have, Rena. Run!
あらららららら。
Before I knew it, Rena was standing right in front of me. Where's the hatchet? We glared at each other with our faces almost touching.
で、レイナちゃんはそこまで知っててどうしようってわけ？
お父さんに二度と近づかないでください。
嫌よって言った。こんな秘密の隠れ家に誘ってくれての話だからね。そういうお話かなとは思ってたのよ。だってここ秘密の隠れ家なんでしょ？誰も知らなくて誰にも何も聞こえない。秘密の場所なんでしょ？
Oh, now I'm getting nervous. She's like talking like she knows that. Oh no! What on earth? Why could she be so? I guess she's a kid. Maybe that's part of it. But holy crap!
そうですよ。誰も知らなくて、誰にも何も聞こえない、誰も訪れることのない忘れられた場所。
Our faces are so close to each other, the noses could almost touch. I'm sorry I clicked early there. I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't know what would happen next. I couldn't back down now that I'd come to this point, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I should do.
やだ、何をマジになってんだかね。ほらほら、仲直り。
Rena started laughing and slapped me on the back. My expression didn't change. I kept staring at Rena, but I didn't notice her real intention of putting both her arms around my neck. The tension broke, already stretched thin, and Rena squeezed my neck hard. I was openly hostile, but I didn't realize Rena's evil intention until she started choking me. Fetch, alright, we're there. Get the hatchet!
子供のくせに舐めやがってよ。もうちょいでうん千万って金が転がるんだよ。上辺だけでも仲良しってことになってりゃ、小遣いの少しもやろうって思ってたのにな。口ばっかり滑らしか。うんだらねえとこでまだるっこし。血にさらせやこら。
I tried to pry her hands off my neck, but I didn't have the strength to do so.
殺しはしたかなかったんだけどね。二度とこんなうまいかもには会えないだろうしさ。てめえ閉めて、うん千万なら悪くはないさね。
Alright, we're really past that point. Come on! Somebody! Do something!
どうせ巻き上げたら蒸発するつもりだったしさ。上等くれたら、この野郎！
The world around me got darker and darker. I had never known an evil intention like this, namely the intention to kill me. It didn't scare me, though. That's because being scared is a feeling that people use to express how they feel when they see wildfire on the other side of the river. People on the island with the wildfire, with their deaths right in front of them, they don't get scared. If I loosened my grip on her hands even a little bit, she'd crush my throat. This was simple competition to see who was stronger. Rena wanted to get me in the most advantageous position, so she tried to push me down to the ground so she could mount me. If I let her do that, I wouldn't stand a chance. I tried to keep my current position, but I was losing a lot of energy being choked. It was only a matter of time before Rena could push me down. I lost my balance on purpose. I tried to fall backward in order to put her off balance. I couldn't hold my breath long enough to keep up the strength competition, so I had no choice but to take the chance. We fell on the ground, tangled together. But as Rena was strongly determined to kill me, she didn't even take her hands away from my neck after she fell. However, my action made Rena loosen her grip on my throat. It wasn't loose enough for me to break free from her grip, but it gave me a few moments to use my hands for something other than stopping her from crushing my throat. If I hadn't taken the chance, I would have been done for. That's why I tried to literally seize my chance, moved both hands to the ground to seize that chance. I felt a piece of broken glass in my right hand. Oh gosh, this is so awful, but go! That was truly my chance to literally save myself from the brink of death. I cut Rena's wrist deep with the piece of glass. Rena tried to endure the pain for a few seconds, but pain that severe from someone who's so cornered soon broke her will. She let go of my throat to cling to my bloody wrist. I used that moment to roll away from her. She screamed, both in pain and also to try to intimidate me again. It didn't work anymore, though. Intimidation only works on an opponent when the opponent is hesitant to fight. When you're already in a fight, screaming like that means nothing more than letting my opponent know how badly you're hurt. I no longer had any hesitation. I had learned from Rena. She taught me what I had to do in a situation like this. That's right, this is my secret hideout. I know every single piece of junk in here. Maybe if I knew that day was coming. Was it just coincidence that it was here? I had pulled out a meter-long lead pipe. Not as a surprise, not at all surprised to see it there. I raised it up high and brought it back down. There was no way Rena could block this hard, heavy lead pipe with just her arms. She'd probably tried to block it with the palms of her hands in order to take it from me, but her long nails wouldn't let that happen. Unable to catch it the way she wanted, she broke her fingers and some of her nails came off too. Her scream made me realize I had the advantage. An advantage I would have to keep. If I didn't, she'd turn the tables just like I did, and she'd choke me to death for sure. God, this is so messed up. This is so messed up, and I'm sorry. But we're really in this whole, like, you were gonna die, you have a right to defend yourself, but how on earth would she be able to prove that she was under threat of her life? Rena shielded her head with her arms, but it didn't help. All that would change is that I'd break her arms before I broke her face. I'm serious too. Die, die, die. You should die. Yeah, that's right. I should have done this a long time ago. I didn't need proof. I didn't have to talk to anybody. That's stupid. That's nonsense. I should have done this a long time ago. If I had done it a long time ago, my father wouldn't have been deceived. I could have protected him. I could have protected my family. I could have protected my life. I could have been myself. My mother wouldn't have divorced my father. I could have stayed happy. I wouldn't have had to be unhappy. I'm going to recapture my happiness. At this moment, I'm going to win back my happiness. I'm not going to cry for misfortune. I'm not going to give into fate of unhappiness. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to seize my happiness. Right now. With my own 2 hands. Rena tried to run away from me, but as she no longer had the use of her hands, it made it difficult for her to stand up to escape, especially since there were scraps of junk everywhere on the ground. Oh, convenience. After all, this is my hideout. This is my territory. Nobody can run away from me here. She tried to climb up the slope of garbage, slipped, fell, and rolled all the way back down. She didn't stand up or move. Her eyes were open, her neck was bent at an unnatural angle. I didn't know how to make sure she was dead, so I kept looking for her open eyes for a while. She could be faking it for all I know. But she didn't close her eyes no matter how long I waited. I scooped up a handful of sand and threw it on her face. She still didn't close her eyes. Thud. The lead pipe slipped out of my hand and hit the ground. Alright, Rena. Now we have a problem. We have an abandoned car and someone who's clearly suffered defensive wounds and a brutal attack. And unfortunately, her attack on you at most bruises your throat. If you were to turn yourself in now, you might be able to convince them that she attacked you. But it would be a stretch. When I tried to pick it up, I realized how heavy it was. I was surprised I was wielding it as though it was a knife. I was sweating all over. The cold wind felt good on my skin. I've got freaking goosebumps myself right now. My arms are just like, whoo. Like, I can't, like, maybe it's not goosebumps. Oh, it is a little bit. Like, you probably can't see it there, but it's like, it's all like, the goose pimples up there, just like all up and down my arms. Like, oh my gosh. Like, the problem too is like, I get super disturbed with this stuff because I get so sucked into these things, right? Like, I'm so invested in these stories and I get so put into these shoots. And the thing is, like, in that situation, it was like, I was already kind of trying to cheer for Rena, knowing what she was being led toward. But then when she got threatened with, like, physical violence, where, like, the lady was talking about killing her and strangling her, like, that's not an idle threat. I can't really, this is one of the few times where I genuinely am like, she kind of did the right thing. But the problem is that there's no way to avoid, like, punishment. Now, in a real world situation, you should turn yourself in, explain the situation, and hopefully you can get the law on your side. But I think if you're actually in that position, I don't know if you could do that. Like, I don't know if I would be able to do that. If I were standing literally in Rena's shoes right now, I don't know if I would be able to take that step. And the next most obvious logical option would be to try and cover it up. But my goodness, especially modern, that would be really, really, really hard. But even now, like I said, we have a body and we have a car. Both of those are going to be things that are going to be really, really, really tough to get rid of when you can't drive the car. The cries of the Higurashi were calming me down and healing my soul. Rena was just like a broken dummy now. She had become a piece of junk. I am the owner of the land of junk, and I defended it from her intrusion. Now she was a resident of this junkyard. That's terrifying. She is so unfazed by this. That's also probably the scariest thing that's happened. She's just completely, like, fine with this. I didn't feel bad about killing her. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I felt rather fulfilled. I defeated the evil woman who deceived my father. Started breathing slowly and calmly and regained enough energy to analyze the situation. I'd have to hide her body. First, I had to get rid of her scooter. I climbed up the shore and kicked their scooter down the hill. That's fair, but that's not good enough. Like, that scooter, like, you need to take its identity plate off. You need to, like, take it apart partially and move parts of it to different parts of the junk pile. That might be the only hope you have. If you just push it down the hill, any police officers who are searching the area, especially if they can see or have a witness saying that she went towards that part of the area, they're going to look in the dump first thing, because that's the logical place you'd put a scooter. Also, it does help it's a scooter. I thought it was a car. I rolled it down the slope, making a lot of noise. It blended in well with all the junk as it stopped. It was like it was there from the beginning. I went back down the slope and started dragging her body to my hideout. It should have taken as much effort as dragging a 50-kilogram bag of sandbag, but it felt lighter than that. It was just a sandbag, yet it brought disaster to my family. I didn't lure her here in order to kill her. Or did I? Maybe I just didn't notice I had intended deep down in my heart. She did point out when she got here that it was like the perfect spot. Like, I think there was a part of her that kind of hoped that she would follow. Like, not that she intentionally led her there, but knew like how close she was to snapping, that if she got her to that place that was isolated, it would give her the room to do something if she needed to. I think that, so I don't think it was premeditated per se, but I do feel like she was always in the back of her mind. It was a concept. Like, it was something that she was willing, that she was already kind of chewing on as an idea. So, yeah. But where are you going to put her? And also, aren't we in the future having a conversation with everybody else in this very junkyard on that very car? If you're hiding the body near there, doesn't that mean that like everyone else is now who's listening to the story literally right next to her body? All right, anyway. But even so, I felt like this was the best and most expedient solution. There was no better solution than killing her. Also, this is the first time we've seen someone do the killing well before Watanagashi, right? Every other time it's always correlated with Watanagashi, either intentionally or no. This is the first time it's not. How wasteful to depend on someone to help me, to wait for a day to come when they will. I remembered the murder of Satoshi-kun's aunt that happened last year. I had no doubt that Satoshi-kun murdered her, but I've never been as convinced as I am right at this moment. How could he have saved Satoko-chan, other than by killing his aunt last year, at the time, in that circumstance? My situation was much the same as his. How could I have saved my father other than by killing her? If I was planning a murder, I would have been under a lot of pressure and stress. But for better or for worse, when the moment came to me out of nowhere, that's why. I believe I solved my problem with as little trouble as possible. I mean, she's not wrong. She's the most competent of everyone on the freaking team. Even Shion, who was able to be effective with multiple victims, was heavily leaning on surprise and the stun gun that was basically lethal by itself. This was almost a work of art. But it also kind of explains why Rena tends to snap in most of these stories. It's because she snapped already. She'd already embraced the darkness. Now that she's gone, will anybody become suspicious about her disappearance? She was an irresponsible person who skipped work for her own convenience, so I didn't think anybody would get suspicious when she disappeared one day. She was a big mess from the start. Teppei is going to be a problem. But ironically, is this going to be the plot line that's kind of that we saw with chapter 3, where Teppei gets scared and flees to Hinamizawa and starts ruining Satoko's life? Because somebody else mentioned and reminded me that in that time, like, he fled because his girlfriend, like, they talked about how she'd left him, but there's other rumors that she died or gone missing, and that it scared him and he ran away. So maybe that's what this was the whole time, is what makes the event that triggers Teppei moving to Hinamizawa and like harming Satoko was Rena eliminating his girlfriend, and he assumes it was the mob. She was a big mess from the start. People will think she went into hiding because she got into deep trouble with someone. I didn't need to fabricate an alibi. All I needed to do was get rid of the body. It took me a while to figure out how to do that last part. Hiding her body would be very risky. But my brain had become so calm, I did some calculations and came up with an answer right away. Yes, this place is still the safest. This is a place forgotten. Nobody comes here. Nobody knows this place is here. I knew that because I'd been spending a lot of time here. Compared to taking the risk of carrying her body to some other place, it was a lot safer to just hide it here. But it wasn't perfect yet. This place wouldn't remain a secret forever. I could hide it here for now, but I had to come up with a perfect way to make it completely disappear. It's a lot easier to think about that than thinking about how to make Rina break up with my father. Ironic, she literally just says it's easier to get rid of a body than to try and manipulate her into breaking up with my dad. That's crazy, but probably true, and that's what makes it crazy. I stuffed her corpse into a broken refrigerator in a trash pile. I wanted to cover the refrigerator with dirt and bury it, but that was too easy. I had to chop up the corpse into pieces and make them completely disappear. Gosh, she's so cold about it. Felt like it got dark all of a sudden. No, it didn't get dark all of a sudden. I just didn't realize it was getting dark until just then. That didn't sound like thunder. That sounded like an explosion. I could hear thunder from a distance. It might rain soon. I could use some rain. It'd wash Rena's dirty blood into the ground. You also need to clean yourself up. I should go home. I should think about what I'll do tomorrow. I was going to stay right beside my father until he forgets about her. He might be hurt at first, but we're going to recapture our happiness for sure. Our happy, peaceful life. Oh, Rena. I'm not sure that's going to happen. My body was heavy with exhaustion, but I also felt fulfilled because I took a very important first step today. First step? I'll keep taking one step after another. Oh no. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'm not going to cry until I win back my happiness. I'm not going to cry again. Dang. There is something to be said that she could possibly get away with this all.
再婚なんかする必要ないよ。
There is something that could be said about like her being found there, but they assume it's bad. It's like because of the circle she ran in, it might just be decided that it was, you know, a mob related incident. They might not even try and look into her. That genuinely actually could work, just because what seems more likely? That a lady that scammed people and had ties to the mob was killed by a mobster as a revenge, or killed by a potential like a 15-year-old future stepdaughter in the junkyard? Like really, what judge would actually accept that? You don't need to get remarried. That was the first thing I said after I got home. My father looked stunned. He noticed the sad tone of my voice, and realizing that I didn't agree with the idea of his remarrying, he looked down.
無理もないよな。レイナの気持ちもわかるよ。事前にレイナにもよく相談。
プロポーズなんて取り消せばいい。
あんな女なんて言い方しちゃダメだ。リナさんは。
本当のことを話す。あの女と鉄という男は二人組の悪人。我が家の財産を狙ってお父さんに近づいてきただけ。
I'm impressed she's saying this, but it's gonna make her look suspicious. My father didn't get it right away, of course. He looked upset instead because I called her that woman. I should have chosen my words a little more carefully, but I think I told him the truth clearly enough. I told him everything I heard and saw at the coffee house. This is where you could ask for Kasai's help. You could be like, Kasai could back me up. He was there, he knows. And I expected he defended Rina anyway. I was upset, but at the same time, I made it certain that there was no other way than to kill her. I felt the pressure on my shoulders lessen for some reason. My father thought he needed my approval for his remarriage, so he held back his anger and put a fake smile on his face instead.
なあ、レイナ。もう一度ゆっくりとお父さんたちと話し合おう。そうすればきっと分かってくれるから。
A tamed animal. He's still tame, even after its owner's dead. That's okay. I'll open the gate anyway. Even a tamed animal will notice one day that he's no longer in captivity. That's not something I could teach him. He had to realize it on his own. I couldn't stand his fake smile anymore, so I left the living room. Time healed the pain from the divorce. Time heals any kind of pain, just like how dripping water will eventually bore a hole through solid rock. I did what I could. Now I have to wait. But the day I was going to wait for came earlier than I expected. At midnight of the following day, we had a visitor. It was that Tetchan man. Teppei Hyojo. Teppei didn't even knock on the door to get in. He broke into the house by smashing the window. At first I thought he came here to ask us about Rina's whereabouts, but I was wrong. The real reason why Teppei came here is because it was their plan. It was the last stage of their badger game. Rina was probably supposed to be in bed with my father at this time of tonight. Teppei must have wanted to show up and catch them sleeping together. Yeah, maybe the plan was to get rid of Rena the whole time and then do this charade. Teppei looked around the house, but he couldn't find Rina. He didn't change the plan, though. He grabbed my father by his collar and started yelling threats. He showed my father a certificate of marriage to Rina and shouted at him, saying, "You got my wife pregnant? How are you going to take responsibility?" My father had no idea she was married. He looked shocked. My father is a short guy who was faint of heart. He just let Teppei do and say whatever he wanted from beginning to end. He looked at them from a distance coldly. The more Teppei yelled and threatened my father, the faster he'd wake up from his bad dream. This was a medicine for him. Teppei was cutting out the cancer that was going to depend on time to do, and he was doing a great job of it. I mean, Rena, if you were clever, hopefully you hid some of the books away so he can't take all your money, but I guess money isn't the most important thing. I waited to help my father until I was sure he had finally awakened from his bad dream. I told Teppei that I had something very important to tell him and took him outside.
で、なんじゃ重要な話っちゅうんは。
リナさんって昨日以来沖宮に帰ってますか？
ん？
実はリナさん事情があって隠れてるんです。
Why are you telling him this?
あ？どういうこっちゃ？
リナさんから鉄平さんが来たら連れてきてほしいと言われてるんです。
Oh my gosh, wait, what are you doing, Rena?
あ？律子のやつどうしたんね？
Teppei followed me without hesitation. We walked through the dark with a flashlight to the place where nobody comes and nobody can hear us. Rena, no. You did. You said it was first steps. You literally, oh my gosh. And nobody can hear us. The place is forgotten. He asked me many things on the way, but I couldn't answer any of them. I just told him to ask Rina. The way I said it seemed to make him think Rina was going to betray him and get married to my father for real. Even though he was breathing heavily in a rage, he walked right behind me without any suspicions. Holy crap. I knew this day was going to come very soon, so I was well prepared for it. We reached the place where I originally planned to bring him and turned off the flashlight all of a sudden.
どうしたんね？
Everyone gets nervous when the only light goes off and the dark goes off. But this is my territory. I didn't need any light. I could feel my surroundings even better with my eyes closed. I grabbed the big hatchet I'd hidden in a bush. It is hatchet time! Hatchet time! And lifted up high. To be fair, I also can't feel bad about this because we also know what kind of a monster he is. And frankly, this is a long time coming.
ごめんなさい。電池の接触不良かな。ちょっと待ってくださいね。
ああ、はよせんとね。
I purposely sounded weak and helpless, whilst I raised the hatchet into the air.
ああ、ライターあるわ。
Oh, this is gonna be horrifying.
出すんね。
Teppei found a lighter in his pocket and lit it up. There you are! He probably couldn't understand the sight illuminated by that small light. He saw a girl lifting a big hatchet right in front of him.
Huh?
Teppei's eyes went wide. He didn't understand what was going on, but he understood that his life was in danger. And yet he must not have been able to think fast enough to deal with it, even though he understood what he should do. Even if he could think fast enough and block his head with his arms, it wouldn't have meant anything. I knew Teppei would come to my house eventually. That's why I prepared for that day. I just didn't think that the preparation was going to bear fruit tonight. I chose my weapon very carefully. I planned when, where, and how I was going to attack him. Is it the same hatchet that she springs later? Like the exact same one? Oh. And so there can only be one result. Fetch me. Holy crap. The hatchet cut deeply into his forehead. I felt an indescribable vibration through the hatchet when it hit him, and it told me I broke his skull. He bragged about how good he was at fighting at the coffee house, but he sure went down quick when faced with a murderous weapon. He was done in a single blow. Teppei slowly fell to his side, the hatchet in his forehead. He looked like a victim in a B movie. I killed this big guy with just one hatchet. He was probably quite experienced in the world of violence, but I was better than him when it came to killing. Why? Because I've killed someone before. It was all done now. The bad people who deceived my father and tried to rob him blind were all gone. I did what I had to do in order to protect my life. If I had this much courage and determination when my mom told me about the divorce, I might have killed Akihito. That's horrifying to realize. Also, though, this causes an even bigger problem because your dad is going to call the police and tell them, or is he going to be too embarrassed to? Almost in this case, it might be better for him not to because then the police are going to look for both of them. If I did, I would have taken the life of only one. Because I couldn't do it back then, I've had to kill 2 people in the last 2 days. Rena, let's finish it up. There's already a place to hide his body. I took care of everything. My hands were wet, so I shone the flashlight at them. I thought it was blood, but it was just sweat. Even so, I still felt uncomfortable and shone the flashlight at my hands several times. Did all this in order to be happy. Did all this, so I should be happy now. I tried so hard, that I got blood on my hands. I wanted to get credit for that from him. Oh, Yashiro-sama, let me ask you a question. I can finally rewind time back to the day everything started to go wrong, can't I? I'm going to stay in Hinamizawa. I'm going to live happily. With my father forever. Sheesh. Holy crap. Holy crap. Are we not going to talk about how you resolved things with your dad? Like, what did he do? Did he call the cops? It's rare to see Rena sleep in class. She isn't the kind of girl who sleeps in class because she's staying up late. She has to be tired from doing housework or something. Everybody seemed to be thinking the same thing. Nobody tried to wake her up, not even Chise-sensei. She got up for a few seconds, then went back to sleep. She swayed back and forth like she was rowing a boat. But she's in class, so should I wake her up, right? I was about to wake her up, but before my hand could touch her, Mian gave me a sign not to.
寝かせてあげなよ。たまにはそういう日もあるよ。
それもそうだな。
I heard a few days ago that Rena lives with her father. She studies during the day, plays a lot after school, does things around the house after that. I didn't know that. I also didn't know her mother had divorced her father. Mian told me that. She also told me not to talk about it because Rena is still hurt by the divorce.
そんな苦労をしてるなんて、全然気づきもしなかったぜ。
Yeah, you know, it's crazy how people could go through such wild things and you just never know. It's just because everything just looks so normal. And you never imagined that you could do such terrible things to other people.
レナはそういうのを表に出さないタイプだよね。ひょっとすると、普段陽気に振る舞っているのも、そういう風に意識して振る舞っているからかもね。
Rena told me the happy days will one day come to an end. She told me she knew that firsthand. What could she have been through? I had no idea. That's probably why she spent so much time as peacefully and cheerfully as she could. It must have hurt her feelings when I said I was bored of having happy days. When I thought about it, I felt bad for living off my parents who were both healthy and happy. For that matter, Satoko and Rika-chan lost their parents too. Mian lives with her grandmother, away from her parents, because she needs to learn how to be the head of the Sonozaki family in the future. When I realized all that, I felt bad about my situation.
別にケイちゃんが両親と生活してることを申し訳なく思うことはないよ。
It is kind of funny how out of everybody, he's the only one that has like the nuclear family. Mian seems to have read my mind. She said it with a cool expression on her face.
確かに家族ってのは、生まれてきた子供である私たちにとって、言ってもね、コミュニティは家族だけじゃないんだよ。
That's actually pretty wise.
仲間か。
Community, also neighbors, they're all important parts of like being a kid.
わかってるじゃん。
俺たちは、レナにとって家族に負けないくらいの存在なんだろうか。
Actually, yeah.
掃除洗濯、炊事に買い物。それに疲れて昼寝だけして過ごすことだってレナにはできるんだよ。でもレナはそれをしない。
Do you hear that, everyone? I also work. I do chores around the house. I cook. I could be taking naps. I could be getting lots of good sleep. Heck, I could be friggin' playing video games for fun. But instead I'm here with you. Because I'd rather do that.
放課後の時間いっぱいを私たちと部活をして過ごす。それはつまり、なんて言えばいいのかな。そう、仲間ってことなんだよ。
レナにとっては、家族と同じくらいの意味のある仲間ってことなのか？
Absolutely.
え？
Mian looked stunned. As if she didn't understand what I was talking about.
ああ、ケイちゃんが今日まで仲間って言葉をどういう意味で使ってきたか知らないけどさ、仲間ってのは家族と全く同格じゃないのかな。
I think so too. In fact, like while parents are a very important part of your life, especially for growing up, your friends are going to be just as impactful on the person you become, the habits you build, the hobbies you end up getting introduced to. Like your friends are critical. Whether you have 1 or 1,000, like they matter.
難しく考えることではないのですよ。
Rika-chan joined our conversation.
居場所があればいいのです。それがある場所を家族と言ったり、仲間と言ったり、呼び方が少し変わるだけのことなのですよ。
リカちゃんにとって、家族と仲間は同じものか？
僕はそうだと思っていますです。
Yeah, they are.
サトコもミーも、そしてレナもそうだと思いますですよ。
だから私たちはいつも一緒にいようとするんじゃないかな。
リカちゃんは、みんなといると寂しくないか？
みんなは家族なのです。寂しくなんかないのですよ。
Aw. Mia nods in agreement. Satoko was talking with her other classmates, but I'm sure she would nod as well. Rena would too.
俺、ちょっと恥ずかしいよ。
ん？
今日まで俺、仲間って言葉を使ってきたけどさ、本当の意味で理解してなかったと思う。
Brother, you still don't know. You have a hankering. You've got an inkling. You might even have empathy for it, but I don't think you've been put in that position quite yet.
仲間ってのは、もっともっと大切で、かけがえのない、すげえもんなんだよな。
それ、すっごく当たり前のことだからさ。もし今日まで分かってなかったなら、よく胸に刻んだ方がいいよ。
そうだな。そうするぜ。
Good.
あと、それを二度と口にしない方がいいかもだね。
Fair.
今、ケイちゃん、かなり恥ずかしいこと言ってたと思うよ。
Yeah. After all that, Mion still made fun of me. I think I understood a little better why Rena was always so serious about having fun. I want to be her best friend. I want to do my best to be deserving of her effort.
ふぅ。
Aww. How's a little psychopath doing? Rena snored. It sounded cute. Chie sensei let her sleep in class, but she couldn't let her get away with snoring.
委員長、竜宮さんを起こしてください。
レーナ、ほらほら。
Rena was still half asleep but made a strange noise. Everybody in class laughed. Rena noticed they were laughing at her, woke up right away, acted like she wasn't sleeping at all. It looked really funny, and I burst into a fit of laughter. Outside the window, the sky was blue, the clouds were pure white. It was still June, but it looked like the middle of summer. It was perfect weather, wouldn't last forever. It could get cloudy and rain all of a sudden. That's why we had to play and raise a ruckus while we still had this perfect weather. The cries of the cicadas sounded as if they were laughing at us because we still had some class left. Ah, darn it. We can't wait for school to finish.
どうしたんだろう。ケイチくんすっごく嬉しそうだね。今日は何かあるの？
別に、今日は今日だし、明日は明日だろ。今日が晴れてるなら、それで十分。明日の天気なんか知ったこっちゃないってことさ。だから、今日という日を、俺は精一杯遊び倒したい。いつ天気が崩れたって後悔しないくらいに、徹底的にな。
I learned that from Rena. I learned that peaceful days are the happiest days you can have and that they're irreplaceable.
みよ、今日の部活はなんだ？
Okay. I will need to stop here. It's probably close to the end, but I can't know, and it's gone on for a while, and that was a lot. So now we have to live with the fact that we're apparently going to be having a normal day after that, and Rena's just being herself. That's wild. That's wild, but it's great. Holy crap. This music is such a bad fit for the way we should be feeling right now, but we're at the end of today's episode, so thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. Well, enjoyed is a big loaded word there. I really want to know what they do after, like post that whole incident. Like, did her dad report it to the police? How's he doing? I hope we get an update from him soon. How is she going to hide the bodies? Does she actually try and chop them up? Because every day they're in there, they're just going to get bloated and more, like, difficult to work with. Ugh. Oh, man, what a mess. But I guess we'll have to see what happens next week. So thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed yourselves today. Again, it's hard to say, like, I enjoyed that because it was insane. But it was a great story moment, and, like, what an incredible sequence of events, right? I'm really happy to be able to read these stories. Not because they're good, they're like a feel-good story, but they're powerful, meaningful, very well crafted. So, yeah. Whew. Anyway, take a break. Gotta go breathe, go get some sleep. Because it's time for me to go and catch some Z's like Rena did. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Appreciate you being here, especially if you're a patron and member. You're awesome. I appreciate everything you do. Let me do my best. I'm going to strive to do my best to live up to the best expectations I can and to be able to provide you the greatest entertainment I'm capable of. Something that's pure from my heart because I'm genuinely happy to share these stories with you. So thank you for showing up and being here. And until this video, watching me, have to see me in next. I'll see you there.